For me, photography and video is just the reproduction of the painting before the paint dissolves completely. So the photography is very important because it records, it fixes a movement before it dissolves totally. And Polaroid is a medium I use, let's say, is my main work, because each time I change substance, I mix, and for me represent like sketches before a painting or big project. And all these Polaroids are referred to the video we are going to see. So for the first time in this project I use like bronze. You will see the red Polaroid there. And in that case I used to see how the bronze reacts to the water, and if it stays on the superficie or go down. Then black ink, you will see some cream, or so several. I also sometimes I have a friend who is a chemic who gives me some advice to the substance, and so. And in this installation also refers to a kind of rhythm of music mentally, because the video doesn't have music, it's just silence. But I believe that in the movement there is a rhythm, so I tried to put the same rhythm in the installation of the Polaroid. Each color for me it could be interpreted like more deep, so more long, or like the white, for example, is a kind of very light sound, no? So, but please have a look, and then if you have some question.
How did you start approaching to this?
The water or the chemistry part?
Yeah, exactly.
The water, because I used to draw on paper, but is because I wanted the draw, the paint, whatever you can call, to move. So I didn't want to fix. In photography, there is the idea of something that exists and the potential that could change, no? So this is the reason why photography and video, for example, it records all the process and the movement, even the one that I can control. Part of my work is to let things go and maybe stay and look and, you know, react. Is a relation between me and the water. So, and then probably, yeah, working with water is very experimental. So I think that the experimental part, it came after, because each time, even depending on the temperature of the liquid, the paint could change. So that's why every time I change substance, I have to do some proof. So, are you ready to go? So how many of you?
We are 10.
You are 10, okay. So we will do this, because my desire is like, as the video room is an ambience, and I really care people like enjoy sitting on the floor, or even landing down. So in my ideal project, the maximum would be like 4 or 5 people. Then there was kind of discussion with the director. She said, no, it's impossible. You have to. So we will try for the first 10 people, because in the opening there will be 10 people. And I hope you can enjoy in the same way. Even if it's dark, the room, don't be afraid. Just follow me and sit down or lying down, whatever, in the center of the room, okay? So the video title is 9 Minutes Unlimited, which means that when it closes the fourth wall, it's 9 minutes. Unlimited because you are welcome to stay how long you want, but I think we saw it once. The installation is in loop, so it never ends. Whenever you get in, it's okay, and you know, you can stay like in front of a painting, you can stay as long as you want. So if you are, I don't know, curious to ask me something, you can. If not, maybe we can and Maria, what do you think?
The images are...
And so there is a difference of timing. As apart from the image, I also work on the idea of no time, no unlimited something. So, and in this way you have in the same moment the present, the past, and the future. Like much closer to when you see a performer working, you see all the process in time. So this is a bit the idea. Sometimes you have the perception that there is a different time, and sometimes it looks like it's just one piece, but in reality there is the same, but with 4 seconds of difference from the first to the last. And it starts on that wall, then go to that, and then it turns. Really surprised of what it will happen. After a while, you work on the same, with the same substance on water. You start to predict, and as much as I predict what will happen, I, let's say, get bored, and I feel that the project is end. Usually in my series, the first photography, for example, I do are very minimal, because it tells you that I really don't know the technique, and at the end they are really, really much paint, because you take confidence. But if I take so much confidence and I arrive, to control a little bit more, I stop, because, as you said, for me it's very important not to predict, and the causality of what will happen, like.
And I have a question about the medium that you use. So how much is technology important for your work, particularly in this case?
But
the camera.
It's important because without technology, nobody could see my work. Because while I work, I like to be alone. For the video, I work with an assistant, but with photography, it's really like a kind of meditation for me, to let really things go away. So technology like video and photography, in this case, I don't use much digital or post-production, because I really want that what you see is what I really paint. So as a reproduction, it's very important.
but then I have a question that relates to that, because by using certain technology, you're also creating certain perspectives, and I wonder how much it is a conscious part of your work to put the spectator in a certain position. So it has to do with scale. I guess here we're really in it, and we are taking an inside perspective, while in photography we're outside viewers on the scene.
No, in fact, sorry, I don't think I'm going right now to answer, because you point out something very important to me, and then I will answer. The choice in this show, for example, to put the Polaroids, which are small size work, and then the video, as you say, you get in, no, in the was in purpose, in the sense that from the same tank, small tank I paint, it came out to completely different work, even if it's totally the same. Well, one is with photography camera and the other is with video, but the origin is the same tank. And sorry, what was your question?
How much it is a conscious part of your work to put the spectator in a certain position?
You mean when I paint on the water, or after?
Afterwards, in the reception of your work.
After, during well, in the Polaroids are instant, so there is no at all manipulation. In video, while I'm painting, and I already know what I want to do, then for sure there is, as we say, casuality. So I'm trying to, to use the technique. But for example, in this video, there isn't really much after.
I think her question was if you do that on purpose, that we are sitting here, that we are immersed into this situation, immersed into your work in order to feel this meditative moment, maybe? We're thinking about this?
That we set the situation of perception. So we are in the first room, outside spectators on Polaroids, and we get an outsider view on something, and here we are in, and that's the conscious part.
Yeah. So my first answer was the right one. Yes.
Sorry if I don't
know. It was totally in purpose to give two different. In the first room, you have to make the effort to go close to the work, and here you are immersed, and see how the perception change. Even now, that we are going out, and you will go back in the first room, there is a kind of big jump.
I love the central part, because central in the sense of your senses, that you really have to, out there with the Polaroids, we are still acting, we are watching, and we are in the group, and you are seeing what other people are doing. Then you come into this room and you let loose. You just relax, nobody really watches you, you're just watching the work, and you can let loose, you can relax totally. It's meditation. And then you go out again, and then you reflect on this activity outside and inside. And maybe it's changing the viewer in a certain way. What I love, this is not a question, this is something which I feel in this work, is that you are, through this image, which you are controlling in a way due to technology. Of course, you can't control your materiality, but you can control the technique. But through this eternity of images, you create a new world, or you draw a new world, or the whole process of the creation of the world. That's what I saw. I came inside and I saw the creation of the universe. The tranquility, how do you say it, the calm moment before the chaos, then the chaos with the explosions, and then the creation of new atoms, of new cells, the creation of the world. This eternal process of creation, destruction, reconstruction, etc. really love that. And you lie down and you feel the work and you feel this metaphor which you're creating through your work. I hope that this
Thank you. That's beautiful, what you said.
I actually have a question that relates to what we were talking about a minute ago. Is it always important for your Polaroids to be exhibited side by side? Can they be, if they're separated, do they work in the same way, or is it really important for your work to be shown together?
I think it's very important because it tells you more about my work. Through Polaroids, the experimental parts, as you say, what you look is video, so you can think about technology. For me, really, I don't work much as just the reproduction or what, but the chemistry part, it's fundamental in my, without that part, mixing the substance, and I couldn't continue. So for this reason, for me, it's very important to show both. Especially, I saw in my experience people that see my work, if they don't know, they could think that, I don't know, it's computer made, and which is okay, yeah, I don't care, but if you want to understand my work, it's really, it's different substance in water. That's the moment of the creation. And with Polaroid, who is an instant medium, you really understand that there is no manipulation, but it's there. So this one. If you invite me to show with a video and you really don't want the Polaroid, we can talk. So it's not bad. Yeah, I think it's important. One medium needs the other. So.
On the note of mediums, I'm particularly interested on the dialogue between photography and then painting on water. So photography is something which is so indexical, it records something that has happened and it sort of freezes it in time. And so there's this really interesting relationship between the fluidity of your work and the fluidity of the ink in the water, and that very organic thing which is in motion and is very ephemeral and disappears, dissolves, and then you have the photograph which fixes it and which is also reproducible. So it's just perhaps not as much of the Polaroid, of course, where there's only one, but just that sort of dialogue between the two. And if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's say that photography for me it's very important. Referring to the painting before disappear. Even if I see this act of freeze a bit frustrating, yeah, because you will never know what will happen. I think it's an important moment, like even in life. No, at some point you have different choices, and you have to take one, but it always maybe in your idea it will still the idea of if I would have choose another moment, what would it happen? So that tension, it's very important for me in photography. And sometimes when I do Polaroids, and it's not a rule, it's very casual, so that I also, because I work with a large format camera, which is a Toyo View 10 by 13 centimeters, so 4 by 5 inches. And I also use transparency film. So in that case, I then print a large format, which I choose to reproduce just five times.
Is that a specific number?
No, no. No, 5 is not. I thought that I really would love to print just one, and it will happen for sure. But also for photography 5, it's very limited number of prints. So
is that why you feel so attached to the Polaroid in a way, because it's unique in that sense?
Yeah. I love painting. I really do, and so I really would love to do the same. But at the same time, I need these two medium because it's the only way, after choosing the water to draw on. I don't want to fix, so it's a kind of very,
just something that, when you talk about the sort of relationship to painting, the introduction of bronze, I'm guessing, is quite a recent addition.
Yeah, it is.
So, do you feel that you're also connecting sculpture now, in a way, seeing it's such a traditional medium?
Well, for example, this is cream.
Yes.
Cream has a totally different way of reacting because cream doesn't dissolve on water. So there is a kind also of three-dimensional sculpture, way of. But I don't know. It's maybe next time. I don't know. I don't feel in this moment to sculpture is a big word, and I totally. It's something else. I don't know if. No? Yeah. How could you define, if you can define, this is a question for you, but I'm curious to know, how could you define this work? It's like videos, like painting, it's like, what is it? Or no category? No, I mean, I don't know.
How can you choose the material for your video?
Huh?
How can you choose the material for your video? For example, that one is cream, and you just use paper. You just choose in which way?
I choose several months before because the experimental part is a very long process, and it starts like an idea. As we get out, I will show you my artist book. No, they ask me, and the artist book tells a lot about how also this work starts. And there was an idea in my mind of trying to create something that could refer to the light and the darkness, like a circle of. So starting from that point. I choose different substance. I know after I was making some proof that the cream could take all the image, because it's and so could come in the screen. With power, for example, and could be a substance who could, how can you say, be the, when you are across to the bridge to the other world, from the light to the, I could use it to change. And start and go to the darkness, for example, mixing with black tempera, for example. So, but it's kind of general points, and for example, when you see the line, the straight line, and then all the bubble. That was really, really casual to me. It never happens. It's like a reaction, totally. And then I also talks a lot with a chemist, and he explained me that happens because I put on the tank at the beginning a lot of salt to let the paint stay on the superficie, and when I throw with some syringe, the line is honey mixed with bronze, and the water wasn't like, what's going on here? And I said, wow, what's going on there? Because it was amazing. And that's the part I like most, understand the casuality of what's happened for me, and to be surprised myself, it's really amazing. And then probably my next work will be not with honey, and because I already know what will happen. So that's no.
That's quite an interesting point between sort of chance and chaos. Chance and chaos, but control and chaos in a way, because sort of not knowing what's going to happen. But I suppose if you did know, then you would have that control. So is it the sort of sense of control more of something for your sake, or is it more something that you'd like to put across to a viewer, this sort of duality of control and chance? Because obviously it's quite interesting to know how much you edit out in a way, and because we're obviously seeing something that you want us to see.
Sure.
Although there are obviously these chance elements and these things that you didn't expect happening then. So.
Beautiful question, really. I think there are both I like to control, but I dream not to. So I think when you do a work, you try also to give in a way yourself or your idea, your belief to the others, no? So it's a balance between both, no? To express the idea of it's important, no? I think it's important to control, but there is a limit. After that limit, it's good to let things go. So.
Okay.
So we've worked with this idea of chance and recording it, and so I'm curious, what would you say your relationship working with photography and video? Do you see an importance in duration or time spent seeing the work or even in creating the work?
I don't know if I understood the question, sorry.
Okay, I'll rephrase. So you work between the mediums of photography and video, and photography is very much like a single moment, to phrase that moment, but a video takes place over a course of time. So what importance do you think you've placed in that duration that the viewer sits in a space, or the amount of duration that it takes to create an entire work?
I don't know if I understood the question even now, but you said, for example, that no, there are these two mediums, but I think it's very ambiguous. I feel that the medium is my tank with the water and what's going on there. Then these two different techniques tells you different moment, no? So both are important. And then everybody, there are people who loves my video, who think that photography is not enough. I believe it's just a different moment. It's just, I think it's important also, as I said before, to decide, no, to take a decision and stop what's, no, the process of something and go in a direction. I think it's very important. Then, of course, the photography is just a still image of a process who took time. but I think it's very important.
So would you consider your work performative? Do you consider creating these works, your process, like a performance?
Performance, I think, is more someone, no, an artist, let's say, who also like to be viewed, no? Who there is an actor inside the artist, because needs the public to see him or her, whatever. I don't think so. No, I feel much more like a painter who needs to be alone while he paints. Then if you come to my studio while I'm working, okay, but I don't see me now in acting in front of people. No, I think it's a very intimate moment, so totally not performer.
I'd love to come back to your question, which you had 10 minutes ago. I think that's exactly the point where your work becomes interesting, because you can't put you and your work into one drawer. It is painting, it is photography, it is video. It has a certain performative part, but not in the sense as you said right now, that you are not a performer, but because you don't want to be the protagonist of the work. You don't have this, I would say, I don't want to judge it, but you don't have this egocentric attitude towards the art. But your acting is a certain performance because you're using the material in order to process something. So I think it's a hybrid. You are like a hybrid artist who's working in between different spheres, in between different materials, in between different artistic activities. And this is what makes your work, for me personally, very, very attractive, because we can't judge. That's what an art critic and a curator wants to do. We want to judge in a certain way, we want to understand it, and sometimes it's not understandable. So this is a very challenging part of your work. And you said before that you are in between this coincidental part of your work and this wanting to control something. And I think this is exactly what human beings are always fighting for. On one point, we want to control nature. That's our eternal quest to control nature. This is why the world is industrialized. This is why we produce. This is why we are destroying nature, because we want to be the lord over nature. But on the other hand, we realize that as soon as we let loose, as soon as we don't control nature anymore, things are falling into place and things are even more beautiful. So I think you use chemistry and the chemist or the chemic to teach you what kind of materials you can use in what surroundings, in what context, and what the reactions could be. But at the end, the most beautiful and the nicest part of the work is that the coincidental or the coincidence, where the materials are playing with each other without you being under control or in control, is giving this effect to your work. So it's again a metaphor which you're doing.
Oh, thank you. But another things I want to say about the performer part, apart from the fact that I don't feel to be in front of people, I think also is not the right process for my work, in the sense that if you look at me, it could be interesting because it's a technique maybe you don't know, but it's not. My effort is to, if I can, I don't know, probably not, but let you dream. If you see me working, I am real, no? So that's also why I prefer not to be, the person who acts, because I would transform the process as real, no? So it's like even the sense of the room, is to relax and really. It's the world I would love in my dream, no? So it's not important who make it, no?
I would like to know the size of the tank you're working with. Is this a very small process on a table, or is it a large process in a room, standing free in regard of this performance question?
It depends, in the sense that I have several. One in New York, where I live, one in Italy when I come here, and I did some artist residency in California, and I didn't bring mine, but so they are. But let's say it's around 1 meter, 1 meter 50, something like that. And also the material, it depends how the guy who is going to build. It could be in plexi. The one I have in Rome is ceramic, for example, and it's so, yeah, even because the recording parts, it depends to the lens, no? So as much is big or less or small the tank, the distance of the lens, no, it change. So it's really, but yeah, let's say I like something like 1 meter and 5 to 1 meter 50. So it's not so big, even because sometimes it's a very long process, and so many times I don't like what's going on, and I throw the water and I put the water again, and it's heavy. So, and the deepness also depends. In a previous series was deep because the base, I wanted the base to be dark. So it depends.
Just in returning to the idea you said just before that you wanted to, like, you would like to make this dream, and I'm just interested in your influences in making this art, because there's something very, to me, a little bit that it evokes the surrealists' automatism, you know, something about the dropping the ink in the water and something that you can't control and the shapes that come out of it, but also this idea of creating a dreamscape or connecting us to a dream world. And I was wondering whether that plays into your practice at all.
Totally unconscious reference. No, it also an American critics, Light Rexer, he mentioned about a technique, a Japanese technique, Japanese and Korean techniques of painting on water. Then they use they put a paper. I don't know if you know. There is a paper on the tank, and then they paint, and then they like also marbling, yeah. No. So it could also, it's different, but could also. But at the time he said that, I didn't even know that exists that kind of. So I don't know. I study architecture. I like to read, so I would say everyone could be a reference, even a friend who is not an artist. No, can teach you something, so is everything together. No, life is an influence. It could influence you about. I don't have a specific one.
I'm just curious about the musical influences in your work. Earlier you said that you see different forms as different kinds of musical notes, and in this video performance you could have included a musical soundtrack, but you leave it in silence. I'm just wondering about the parallels that you're drawing between music and art or forms.
In the same way, I love the sound in general. I really like all the music, from the pop to the classic. It's like if it's good, there is no genre. How do you say genre? No. So I discovered that I think my work was like I grew with it, starting off painting on water. Then I decided how can I reproduce, and I start with photography. Then at my show I put the photography together, and I saw there was a consequence. So I jump on the video, and looking my video, I feel a sound, and I take consciousness while I was the first year I was living in New York, that several musicians looking at my work asked for collaboration. I did a cover for the LP of a rock American group, so for a rock, you see. So, and then I collaborate with a Canadian pianist for as a video for one of his track, and since I was a child, my family took me at the opera, so I feel the sound. For example, it's also kind of coincidence. My previous video, who was the title's Red, was just food, paint with food. So I mixed several food, and in that work I felt that works need the sound. And I was thinking about like a ballet, a classic ballet, to give irony also to this different food floating in water, so. And I went to one of the stores looking for a ballet, but I didn't have the idea. I filmed the video already, so the video was done looking for this music. And the third one I hear was Giselle. Giselle is a classic ballet, very common, not intellectual. Nobody really knows about the composer whose name is Adams. So, and when I put on the post-production down, it was totally in sync, completely. So I was scared, and when I hear the music, I really recognize the same, rhythm. I knew that was not totally in sync, but I said, okay, it's exactly this timing and rhythm. So
I was just going to ask about that idea of rhythm, and I suppose something that relates to something you said earlier about the way that you almost compose your works, because there's a very definite timing in the way that you throw ink into the thing. And it was just interesting the way you used the word bridge, which could have been sort of a musical term as well. But I'm kind of interested as well, like in particular with this installation, that there is a very definite rhythm in the installation itself, because it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so there's this sort of regular pulse, and the way that works with the seemingly chance things that are going on, but also the way that you're connecting one sort of white moment to one dark moment by using the materials. I don't know whether this is a question in a way, or whether I'm just talking, but is there, how conscious is this sense of rhythm and I suppose changing rhythms as well?
I don't think it's conscious, but it's conscious my love for music. So I also collaborate with a young composer because I like to, and I think maybe it's very natural, the fact that the movement of substance is in water has a rhythm. So the rhythm is close to music. When the Maramotti collection asked me to do an artist book, which was really that's the biggest work. I didn't show it to you. Yeah, but this is that, because video I was already did, even if this is the first ambient. And the artist book, I was like, oh my God, what I'm going to do? And so I asked, instead of asking a critic to write a critical test, because I wanted to have collaboration by different discipline, and one of that it's music. So I asked Italian composer Lucio Gregoretti to interpret. He saw the video, the rendering video of the project, and I said, give me whatever it is, but no, your interpretation, what music could be, what you know, and he loved the idea, even if there is no music in real. It's just the idea of a sound, no, and it's written in the book. So if you know how to read the music, you will know which music it is. Okay. But if you don't know, it will stay just like a draw.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just because immediately we're just sitting here, just very, very fast pace things against these very, very slow moments. So, yeah.
The timing, it's real. Mm-hmm. When you see the honey going very fast, it's the real time. I don't post-production now, nothing. This is slow because, as I say before, it's cream and has a difficulty of movement because it's very dense. So I like to record the nature as it is. So even the rhythm that came, it's casual, natural. Let's say it's natural. Okay.
Yeah, just last question. It's sort of a finalizing. Okay, so you have a lot of experimentation within your process, and your process itself seems to develop a lot over time. I'm curious when you feel like your work is finished, or if it ever is actually finished, if it's a continuation constantly, because it's this sort of experiential thing once it's created. So I'm curious if you ever have a final moment, or if it's continuing to develop even now that it's on display and finished here.
The project is finished when I realized that I am close to control everything. That's not fun anymore, because no, it's very important to enjoy what you do. So that it's totally. Then the research continue for sure. Like I don't know, a painter on canvas, he will continue to paint on canvas, or he will do sculpture. We don't know. I think for the moment I didn't finish with water, so I will continue, but transforming another installation or other substance, or you know. So with water the research will continue. With cream probably is finished. We don't know.